South African coronavirus variant has been detected in South Carolina. Two people who did not travel and had no connection to each other tested positive for it. Well, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Anthony Fauci told me he was concerned about this variant because the current monoclonal antibodies seem to not work for treatment. So what could that mean for vaccine efficacy? Dr. Nina Radcliffe is an acute care physician on the front lines of this pandemic and joins us right now. Good morning to you. So break this down for us. Why is it significant that this variant could evade those monoclonal antibodies?
Well, we have to understand that these monoclonal antibodies have been approved for treatment of people with moderate to severe illness. They are lab-generated antibodies that bind to a specific area of the virus. So if there is a mutation in this area where it's supposed to bind, it can render them ineffective. So the good news is that as more and more Americans get vaccinated, we're going to see fewer people getting sick and needing this treatment. So we want to close that window. We want to shut that. The important thing right now is for America to continue getting vaccinated so we can break this cycle of COVID-19.
Yeah, and speaking of vaccines, let's say this means that the current vaccines on the market would not be as effective. Would you just get a booster with a different vaccine makeup? How would this work?
Well, we have to understand that the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines are so effective and they create very high levels of antibodies. So potency can drop considerably without affecting the efficacy. It's not an on and off switch. It's not it works, it doesn't work. It's a continuum, a spectrum. And when we're starting at a 94% efficacy, we do have some leeway. Again, this underscores the importance of getting people vaccinated so we can prevent new mutations or variants from coming in play that may be able to evade these defenses.
And we know that two separate people tested positive for it. So that probably means, as we all know, that it's well circulated in the U.S. So is there anything we can do to stop the spread if you can't get a vaccine, if you're not eligible for the vaccine?
Well, public health measures are a very powerful tool. COVID-19 and all of its variants are spread from person to person, primarily through the air. They enter our eyes, our nose, and our mouth. So there's something we can do right here, right now, as we wait our turn in line. We can socially distance, staying over 6 feet away from other people while wearing our face masks. We can also wash our hands. We need to stay at home when we feel symptoms or we've been exposed to somebody else and we need to get tested.
You know, you're speaking about the efficacy of these vaccines, and as this virus continues to mutate, how are scientists and these vaccine makers able to ensure that it will protect against these new variants?
Well, mutations are not a surprise to science. These scientists are some of the greatest minds in the world, and they're already on top of it. They are testing it. They are mixing the serum that contains antibodies with the new variants. And in fact, Moderna has already created a vaccine that they believe will be effective against the South African variant. And they are planning to enter phase 1 clinical trials shortly, administering this new vaccine first, and possibly the second dose being the original one that they have.
So I got to ask you about this story that's been widely circulated over the past week about double masking. Are there specific, first of all, types of masks that are proven to be more effective? And what do you think about the face shields and the double masking?
Well, we know that if we can stop the entry into our eyes, nose, and mouth, we can protect ourselves from COVID-19. So it makes good sense to wear a mask that is thick enough, or even a double mask that adds another layer to it. And the other important thing is that it properly fits our face, because if it's not fitting our face, it's underneath our nose or things can come in and out from the side, it just doesn't work. So yes, it makes good sense to double mask or wear a mask that's properly fitting, that's thick enough to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Dr. Radcliffe, a lot of focus has been on inoculating people, around the world to prevent the spread of the virus, but we haven't heard much about a cure. Is there a focus on a cure? What do we know about this so far? Any findings that are promising that you've seen?
Well, there's hundreds of medications and other modalities that are being developed as well as tested. But right now, the focus is on getting people vaccinated and ensuring public health measures. We do have medications in place to treat moderate and severe symptoms. Most people do get better on their own at home with just rest and recuperation and taking over-the-counter medications to treat their symptoms. But again, there's a lot in the works, and these are the greatest minds working on this. But we all have to do our part to stop these mutations and variants. Every time a virus replicates, it's an opportunity for there to be a mutation. So we can do our parts by engaging in these public health measures, to stay socially distant, to avoid these public gatherings, to wash our hands, to cover our eyes, our nose, and our mouth.
All right, and possibly double mask if you want to. All right, Dr. Nina Radcliffe, thanks for joining us this morning. Have a great weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend.